Hello, everyone, and welcome to Above the Ice Into the Numbers, Episode 1. This is our first formal episode, and today I am here with Christian Sturnio along with Julian D'Alessandro. How are you doing today, Christian?
I'm doing pretty good. This is our first episode. We're excited to be here. Last week, we were trying to bring you an episode, but we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it was David D'Amico. We put that up on our YouTube channel, so just go to the Sport Board and give us a subscribe on there, and you can listen to our episode 0.5 as we'll get our first episode rolling here. So today, we're going to quickly go over the Leafs recap against the Washington Capitals on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so before we get into it, we just want to say we're excited to be here. We're excited for you guys to tune in. We're going to try to have episodes every Thursday. We mostly will. If there's something that comes up, we'll let you guys know on the Instagram page. Make sure you follow the Sports Board Instagram page. There's 12 of us running it. We're excited to bring you that content. David isn't here today, so it's just me and Julian, and we're going to try to have a good time here.
Yeah, here we go. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and this podcast will be weekly, so you can always tune in, and it's going to be a good time.
Okay, so let's start with the Leafs and Caps game last Tuesday, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we lost, but what do you think of that game?
You know, I think a lot of people are saying how the Leafs just don't look intense enough right now.
100%, yeah.
And I think I do agree with that. I think I saw a little bit more intensity in this game. You know, one point I would like to bring up is I did like how when Tyson Barrie got hit, you know, Freddie Gauthier stepped in.
100%.
The two games before that, right, you had that happen, and nothing happened. Nobody was around, and nothing was dealt with. So I think you kind of need, and look what happened right after that. We scored. Right?
100%, yeah. My thoughts on that game are, we obviously, it was a loss, but it's one of those losses where you can look at it and be like, there's some positives in that loss. Because definitely in the game against Montreal, there's nothing positive about that game.
Oh, no.
But Matthews got 3 points. We got a point in overtime. Dermott came back, looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for Travis Dermott because I think just as Leaf fans, it's nice to see him back in the lineup, especially when you have Marincin and Hall as your third pair, right? So
100%.
I think it was exciting to see him get going again. And just in general, I think the Leafs, although they did lose the game, I think it was almost a learning curve for them in some sort of way.
Yeah, definitely. What else about that game? I mean, obviously the penalties in overtime was kind of tough.
Yeah.
Because you kill off the first one and then get another one. And at that point, I kind of knew the game was they were going to score there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that game, especially with this and penalties in general, I swear there was like 15.
Yeah, the refs were very calling everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to get into a penalty war with Washington because you're never going to win that.
With Ovechkin on the
Ovechkin, Carlson, Oshie. I mean, that's a deadly power play.
Right, and I honestly think that when you take the Leafs power play, you can almost say that killed. They had 8 power plays, man.
Yeah, and they couldn't. What they got 1 goal?
Yeah.
I mean, with all the firepower on that power play, you should probably. You obviously can't score every time, but you just want to see consistency.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're really lacking is the consistency on the power play. They try to get too cute.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think people read it right away.
Yeah, you can definitely see against teams that are prepared to play us. They hold us up at the blue line. They hold the Leafs up at the blue line. Riley will try to skate in and do the back pass to Marner. And if the team's smart and did their homework, they'll cover that pass, and the Leafs will not get into the zone.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's the Leafs or if it's the Ottawa Senators, but if you don't have a good power play,
well, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win too many games,
right?
If you can't get your power play going. Look at Boston last year in the playoffs. People will say they got outplayed in that series. I think they did, but their power play was rolling, and they won the series. They went all the way to
Power
Game 7.
plays can win you games. It can win you series.
Oh, 100%.
It can bring you to the Stanley
and
Cup, right?
It could also lose you games. It could lose you series. So, yeah, the power play is very important, and the Leafs should really be working on that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to even penalty kill, right? When you give up that many penalties, Freddie Anderson can only save you so many times.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I think not only do you have to work on the power play and really just building that, but the penalty kill. Like, we can't get killed on there as either. So
yeah.
But what did you think about Mike Babcock's comments after the game? I think I don't know if he's right about what he's saying, but what do you think?
I think he's a little bit right, but I take everything he says with a grain of salt because I think he knows he's on the hot seat right now, and whatever he's talking about, whatever he's saying, he's playing the game right now. He knows. He knows he's fighting for his job. As much as he wants to be all cocky and I'm Mike Babcock, I'm the best coach in the NHL, he can only play that for so long. When you lose in the first round 3 years in a row, you know your job's on the line.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. When you look at Leaf fans and you look at the fan base that they got going on, right? The expectation now is to win a playoff round.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's more than that.
It should be more than that.
It really should be. And I think now that when you walk Babcock in, you're like, things are gonna change. Something's gotta happen.
I don't trust him. I mean,
Right.
that's a topic for later. But
Yeah.
let's get into Ovi's comments before the game. So what do you think
Yeah.
about that? That's tough. What do you think about that?
If I'm being fully honest.
Let's clarify for maybe the people that didn't hear the
Yeah.
comments. So before the game, Ovechkin basically said, I don't have the quote pulled up, but he said the Leafs need to start playing like a cup contending team. Right now they're playing for themselves. They need to play together. And he's basically saying that if like the Leafs don't have it, which I mean, after the way they're playing, it's hard to not agree with him.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw what he said, and I saw it on Instagram, right? I was like, a part of me was kind of like, I disagree with him, but at the same time, I agree with him. It's such a weird. And you look at what Matthews said, right? Matthews turned back on Ovechkin and said, well, how many times did it take you guys to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I mean, that's correct.
Right?
I mean, I don't even think Washington made it out of the first round in Ovechkin's first 3 seasons. I mean, I can look that up right now.
So, when I think about what Ovechkin said, I actually do. If we do go back to that quote, I think it does make sense.
So, Ovechkin's first 2 years, I mean, he put up 106 and 92 points. I mean, he's amazing. But the first 2 years, the Capitals didn't even make the playoffs. His third year, they lost in 7 in the first round. So, I mean, Matthews is, 22 years old? I mean, you can't... It's not really on him.
Yeah. Ovechkin, at the end of the day, is one of the best players in the NHL. Arguably the best goal scorer of all time. That is a highly debated topic.
I'd say he is.
So, and just to clarify for you guys who are listening right now, what Ovechkin's exact words were, I think for them, they are still a young group of guys, and I hope they're going to learn. It's up to them how they want to do it, and if they are going to play for yourself, or if they want to win a Stanley Cup, they're going to have to play differently. So, I think that when it comes down to it, you take those words from a veteran player. Like, how do you not listen to that?
I mean, you definitely not listen to him, but I don't think the Leafs should be too concerned on what other people say, because they should know that already. They should know that the last 2 years, let's say 1, last year was unacceptable.
Yeah.
They should have made it past the first round. I don't care that you're playing Boston. I mean, obviously you're playing Boston. like you're playing Boston. They're a great team, but it was also just the way they played down the stretch. They didn't look like they were a team. They stepped it up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, they played good. They genuinely played good that series, but I don't know. When you're paying... Now, this is the year. This is make or break. If you don't do it this year, no more excuses.
You have to look at what we added in the summer as well. So, after losing that series against Boston, you go out in free agency. You get... Oh, actually, not even free agency. You trade on July 1st. Tyson Barrie. You get Kerfoot. And you go, okay, yeah, so what? You lose Kadri. Your defense, your top 3 defense are Muzzin, Riley, and Barrie. It's not that bad at all.
That's really good. I mean, it's not like nothing compared to like Yossi, Ellis, Ekholm.
Yeah.
But like, it's still good.
And you got Freddie Anderson in net. And you got Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and even guys like Kapanen and Janssen who are coming up as rising young stars. How do you not make it to the playoffs? How do you not make it to at least round 2 or 3 with this roster, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should definitely do it. So I think that's a perfect segue to go ahead.
Yeah.
So the next game is either tomorrow or tonight, depending on when you listen to it.
Yeah.
Maybe even it was yesterday against the Philadelphia Flyers. It is in Philly. It's going to be a tough game, but what do you think of that game?
I think this is a game that the Leafs need to get back. I think this is a game that Leafs need to dominate. Not that Philly's not a good team. I think for whatever reason, when Philly and the Leafs are paired up against each other, it's always a really close game. There's a lot of times where Philly has actually taken the lead and kept going with it against the Leafs. Drew's a killer.
JVR,
Yeah.
we know what he can do.
Yeah. So they're playing in Philly. I think what they need to focus on is just if they do get power plays, make sure they capitalize.
That's a question because we sometimes we don't even know if we'll get power plays because some games they just don't. So we got the lines here from Mark Masters this morning. So Tavares is back in. Assumingly he'll play tomorrow. The lines are Trevor Moore, John Tavares, Mitch Marner. That's the first line.
Wow.
And the second line is Andreas Janssen, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Ilya Mikheyev, Alexander Kerfoot, Kasperi Kapanen. And the fourth line, Timashov, Gauthier, and Shore. Patan got sent down this morning.
Huh.
And the defense, this is where it gets really tricky here. Muzzin practiced with a red sweater. He will probably not play tomorrow.
Yeah, I would assume that.
The D pairings are Morgan Riley, Justin Hall,
No way. Are you kidding me?
Martin Marincin with
Why is he in?
Tyson Berry, and Travis Dermott with Cody Ceci.
Okay, this. Oh my gosh.
Now the lines when practice started were different, but during practice, I think Jonas Siegel tweeted out that those were the D pairings that will probably go tomorrow in Philadelphia.
Oh, that is just I'm sorry, but I do not like that at all.
I mean, I like Hall with Riley. I think Hall's deserved that promotion. I think CC deserved the demotion
Yeah.
more than Hall deserved the promotion. But Marincin Barry, I mean, if you're trying to improve Barry's confidence, putting him with Marincin is.
I think that's the worst. I really think that's the worst one. If I'm being honest with you, and for anybody that knows me, when I got into this program, I made it clear I hate Martin Marincin. I just don't like him as a hockey player. I don't like him as a defender.
You know what? We did. This is a bad time to say this, but we didn't even say who we are. So, what he's talking about is we're in Ryerson Sports Media. That's our program. Me, Julian, and David, we're all in this program. You met David last week.
Yep.
You haven't really met us yet. I mean, some of you listening probably know us, but I'm Christian Storino. I'm first year sports media.
I'm Julian D'Alessandro, first year sport media as well.
Usually you don't introduce yourself 10 minutes into the podcast, but as you know, if you keep listening, this will be a very different podcast than things you've listened to in the past. So
Exactly.
yeah, we're introducing ourselves in the middle of the show.
That's what's going to happen, you know?
It only goes up from here.
Yeah. First episode, just getting the kinks out.
Okay, so now we can't go back to Leafs Philly after that, so let's just move on to the next topic.
Sure.
We're just going to talk about the Leafs in general. So we're a month into the season. What do you think of how it's going?
I think from what you can take of what the media is putting out there, what the fans' reception of it is, I don't think that people are particularly happy with the way the season's going right now.
I mean, Leaf fans right now all over the place are in absolute breakdown mode.
Yeah.
If they lose against Philly, I mean, we might see riots.
Honestly, at this point, right? Like I kind of see a two-way thing on this. I know people are frustrated with the Leafs, but as fans, we got to remember this isn't 2011. We're not dead last right now.
I mean,
right?
all three of us here, me, Julian, and David, we're all Leaf fans, but we're going to, when they're playing bad, we're going to say they're playing bad.
Yeah.
We're not going to sugarcoat anything, but we're also not going to freak out over a month of games.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 15 games.
Whatever you think of the Leafs going into the season is what you should be thinking now, because a month is not long enough sample size to judge something.
Just look at the St. Louis Blues, man.
Oh, 100%.
Look at the St. Louis Blues.
I mean, they stacked up in the summer. They started slow. Everyone, they got to trade Petrangelo, trade Parayko.
Yeah.
But no, when you, especially with the Leafs and the Blues last year, when you have so much roster turnover, you're not going to click right away. It's going to take some time. And I mean, the Blues fired their coach mid-season.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Do you remember
Kyle Dubas? Maybe you should look into that. I don't know. There's this nice little guy in Toronto. We won't even have to fly him out. His name's Keith, you might want to give him a call.
Well, that's the thing. I think, in my opinion, if the Leafs, so for anybody that doesn't know, and if you haven't looked at the NHL standings recently, currently the Leafs are one spot out of the wild card position at 15 points.
So what you're saying is the Leafs aren't going to make the playoffs?
If the playoffs started today,
no,
right?
It's over. I mean, look, the standings don't change. This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
Buffalo's going to win the President's Trophy. The Leafs are going to miss the playoffs. Tampa's going to miss the playoffs. And we're going to have a Buffalo-Edmonton final.
Yeah. Connor McDavid
The Mick Eichel final.
And that's what I think that's what our kind of point is here. Look, the Leafs have played 14 games, right? And we have more wins than losses, even though it's 6-5. But
I mean, if you look at overtime losses, it's 6-8.
Yeah,
which
okay.
is not good. It's definitely not good. Like we're not trying to say it's good.
No, by any means. Look, with we were saying earlier, with all the additions you made in the offseason, and with the talent that has shown through the years, like Matthews and Marner, are now fully developed players that should be able to put up 80+ points each.
They're making the money,
right?
It's inexcusable if they don't.
I'm sorry, but I expect Austin Matthews to have 50 goals this year.
I love Matthews, but he's doing great. Like, he's been amazing this year. I think he has 11 goals?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's 11 or 12 now. He got 2 goals. Yeah, I think it's 11.
In 14 games, he has 11 goals, 5 assists, 16 points. In 14 games, 11 goals, 5 assists, 16 points, 14 games. If he keeps that up, that's like a 67 goal pace.
He's a beast.
I'm sorry for saying 67. Sorry, I meant 66.
Yeah.
66 goal pace and almost 95 points. But the thing is, he has to keep that up. We all know October Matthews.
Yeah.
Now, what's November Matthews? What's December?
You remember
Matthews?
that drought he had last year, man?
I don't want to say what we're thinking, but he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a concern.
Knock on wood.
Look at that San Jose game, right? I don't know about you. I screamed when he got hit.
I was scared.
I thought for sure he goes back to the locker room. I'm going, this is classic Austin Matthews. It's almost the end of October. Here we go. But yeah, if he can play a full the only full season he's played was the 2016-2017 season, where he got 40 goals
as a rookie.
He
was second in Richard, in the Richard.
Yeah.
He finished 4 goals behind Crosby, almost won the Richard as a rookie.
Played a full season.
And his goal per game pace in the last 2 years were better than that.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, 100%, I will bet my house he hits at least 40.
Oh, seriously. Now, I think he can get...
Now, 50, if he should be able to hit 50. If he stays healthy, he will hit 50.
And I think that's a big question. I think when you even look at the line that he's on, okay, William Nylander, right?
Well, I could do a 10-hour show on William Nylander.
Honest to God.
I mean, I think we all can. I mean, you either love him or you hate him at this point.
Right now, I'm a William Nylander guy, but
I always have been, always will.
I just don't think... he's playing really well, but I don't know if him and Matthews are clicking the way they want to.
I don't think anyone's clicking the way they want to because it's 14 games into the season. But I trust their connections. Look at that first game. The first game, Matthews' first goal of the year from Nylander on a breakaway, almost a replica to the goal they scored 3 years before that. So they definitely have chemistry. With Nylander, he's playing good. His numbers aren't really backing it up. In 14 games, he has 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Compared to last year, that's not horrible. Yeah. It's still a 55-point pace, but you want him to hit at least 70.
Yeah, I would like William Nylander to kind of be like the dark horse of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That guy,
right?
You don't he has 9 points, which isn't good. It isn't bad, but he's also gotten a point in 9 games. He has not gotten 2 points in a game. So what that tells me is he's being consistent, but he just can't put together that 2 or 3 point performance.
Yeah, I think that's what he's got to have. I think it's got to be a performance where he does put up, a goal and 2 assists. Maybe one. Look at how many hat tricks have happened in the first month. I've never seen so many guys score a hat trick, let alone 4 goals in the first month of the season. So if William Nylander, like I said, could be that dark horse. Look, he's not going to win a Hart Trophy.
Oh, he that's not in his game. I mean, and he's only making 6.9 million. I mean, people acted like that was like, insane, but compared to Marner, I mean, it's looking pretty good right now. For $7 million, you'd want like 70 points.
Yeah, seriously. And I think that's the biggest test for Nylander. If he finishes this season with 40 or 50 points.
That's unacceptable.
Right?
60, I'll deal with 60. I'll be okay with 60. Realistically, you want 70.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get that power play 2 clicking, because if you can't get 70 even strength points.
No.
If he's not going to get any power play points, then he won't hit 70 points.
And that's the thing. Like, would you argue that now that John Tavares is back, this is going to improve the power play?
I think so, but not if Babcock plays the first unit for 55 seconds and then takes
Yeah.
them off. Either you stack one unit and you play that unit, or you separate the units and you play both units.
Yeah, and I think even when you look at the last game, when some power plays, you would have Matthews, the first line power play, be on for like the whole 2 minutes. And then the other time you would put on the second line power play first, but then you'd not get enough time for the first line.
I'm so happy Tavares is back, because that second power play unit without Nylander was literally an embarrassment to hockey.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of third line grinders on the power play unit. If your power play unit is led by Alexander Kerfoot and Kasperi Kapanen, as much as I love them, that's not a good power play unit.
And that's the thing. I do trust guys like Kerfoot and Kapanen because, don't get me wrong, Kerfoot, I love.
Oh, he's been amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when Tavares came down, he stepped up.
I think he's a fantastic third line center.
Oh, 100%. That's why we got him. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we have him for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
But
So
he's not going to be
yeah.
one of those guys that always produces.
And I think he's gonna. I feel like Kerfoot could be one of those players that scores like a clutch goal here and there.
Yeah. Maybe he won't always score, but when he scores, it's going to be a clutch goal.
He's gonna be that guy who's gonna score that overtime goal in the playoffs, Game 5, something like that. Remember that Tyler Bozak goal
Yeah.
back against Washington?
I mean, in the last 2 series against Boston, we haven't had a single overtime game. That's
Yeah.
the craziest part.
Yeah,
I mean, for such a 2 close series, you would expect an overtime game in there somewhere.
seriously.
But that's off topic. Let's get into Mike Babcock again. So, are you Babcock in or Babcock out?
All right, as of right now, I'm Babcock in. I believe in Mike Babcock. I think he can put together a team for the playoffs that will succeed, but I'm sure you might have a counter option there.
Okay. So, if you listen to Arsenal Fan TV, this is a very, very off topic, but if you listen to Arsenal Fan TV, you'll get this reference. Mike Babcock, it's time to go. Mike Babcock, get out of my team. Go back to where you came from. It's Sheldon Keefe season. Thoughts?
Okay. Look, I think personally Mike Babcock gets a lot of hate. Let's be honest. He gets a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But this is where I kind of see it. Okay, look.
I mean, everyone in Toronto gets hate.
Oh,
I mean,
at one point or another, right?
Jake Gardner will tell you that.
Yeah. And he's doing great in Carolina, by the way.
I mean, he's a great player.
But okay, so let's look at Austin Matthews, right? 22 years of age, right? And you guys got Marner and Nylander who are around the same age as that. Okay. So now give that 2-3 more years. They're going to be in their prime, 25, 26 years old. Think of Austin Matthews right now, how good he is. Mitch Marner, how good he is. Add more experience onto there when you're 25, 26 years old. I want Mike Babcock to be the kind of the flame that lights that experience behind them. He's got so much coaching experience.
See, I see where you're going with this, but I think you can't think about that way. We're wasting. You never know how much time you have in this league.
Yeah.
Tavares, I mean, he's 29 years old. He could start to at any second.
Yeah.
He could start to progress. We don't know. We hope he'll be good.
I think John Tavares has the capability to be amazing until he's 34.
I think he does too, but we never know.
Yeah.
Injuries and stuff could slow him down. So you have this player in his prime right now. You have Anderson for only 2 more years.
That's scary.
You have Riley for only 3 more years. You got to go in for it now. And I think we will not win a cup with Mike Babcock as coach. So I think we're all wasting our time here.
Okay, I'll ask you this question. Do you think the Leafs players, forwards, defense, and goalies, everybody has bought in to Mike Babcock's program.
No. I think they were bought in, but I think just like us, I mean, the fans were bought in. When Babcock came, the fans were, I've never seen the fan base so excited.
Seriously.
We were, like, the fan base was almost just as much excited for Babcock as they were for Matthews.
For real note right here, if you were a Leaf fan in, what was that?
2015?
Something like that. If you looked on Sportsnet or TSN anywhere.
It was crazy.
It was insanity.
So they definitely bought in at some point. Look at those first 2 years, especially the first year they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
That team was not that good.
No.
I mean, we were rolling with Komarov in the top 6. Like, that's not like it was a decent team, but they made the playoffs with that team, which shows they bought into his system, because the team is way better now than it was before.
Oh, even let's go back a second to 2015 or 2016. There, who remembers Leo Komarov was our all-star?
Well, we didn't make the that was the year before Matthews. I mean, we finished last that year. I'm talking about the year we made the playoffs.
Leo Komarov.
Yeah, that's depressing. Let's not talk about that. I was talking before. I said, in the history of this podcast, the first person who brings up the 2013 Game 7 gets kicked off the show.
Oh yeah.
So if you're looking, we are never gonna mention that. Besides now, because right now we're mentioning it.
Yeah, we just don't want to bring up such horrid memories.
That game never happened. They lost in 6. They lost Game 6 before that. It didn't go Game 7 that year, right?
I blinked, man. I don't know.
I forgot. So yeah, that game didn't exist. But yeah, those were the dark ages. I'm talking about 16, 17. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Zaitsev, their rookie season. The team bought into The team bought into Babcock. Even the next year, 105 points, most in franchise history.
Yeah.
Game 7 against a very good Boston team. We bought in. Then last year, it looked like we didn't.
Well, I think last year was different because last year the expectation was to make the second round.
Yeah.
Right? You lost to Boston twice. Well, once in 2013 and again in 2017-18. So you go, okay. Well, the year before that when we got Austin Matthews, we made the playoffs against Washington. A year we weren't even sure as fans if we were going to make the playoffs. Yeah. Then we
I wouldn't say we weren't sure. We 100% were sure we weren't going to make the playoffs, and we did.
Right?
That year was the most fun year I've had being a Leaf fan in my entire life.
That was a fantastic year.
Connor Brown against Pittsburgh, Bozak and Kapanen OT winners.
Honestly,
that was the most fun year.
That was great.
Like I was saying, though, it looked like they were buying into Babcock. Then last year at times, it looked like they said, we got Tavares now. We don't have to try anymore.
Yeah.
We're good. We know we're good. Then they eased off the pedal, and then I don't know what happened. And now I think they've totally lost trust in Babcock, and I don't think you can gain that trust back. I think Babcock's lost trust in the players, and I think the players have lost trust in Babcock. I think Babcock has lost trust in Dubas, and Dubas has lost trust in Babcock. I think it's over. He has to go.
And you know what? I can't even say I disagree with you because there's a part of me that, kind of actually agrees with all of the points you just made. Like, when is enough?
And then there's a part of you that absolutely hates everything I just said.
Well, there's 2 points, right? There's like, when is enough where you kind of go, why isn't this team
I wouldn't fire him tomorrow.
No.
I'd wait until at least January.
I'll give you this. If the Leafs are in, where are they? They are right out of the wild card position. If they are still here by the trade deadline...
Oh, you fire Babcock into the sun.
I would get rid of Babcock instantly.
Yeah, you fire him over text. Shoot him a text. Hey, Mikey, get out.
It's time to go.
Okay, so let's move on. We talked about this too long. Let's just go over the standings in general. You got the standings pull up there?
Yeah. So right now in the Metropolitan Division, we have the Washington Capitals in first place with 21 points, followed by the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Islanders. Then in the Atlantic Division, we've got Boston at the top, tied with Buffalo with 20 points, followed by the Montreal Canadiens in third. And then in the wild card, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Florida Panthers. And, of course, right behind there in your third place is the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then if we move over to the Western Conference...
We'll go to the West later. Let's just start with the East now. If I told you before the season that 15 games in, the Leafs would be above Tampa but not in the playoff spot. What would you have said to that?
I would have said that's absolutely ridiculous. If you had told me that the Buffalo Sabres would have been second place in the Atlantic Division, I would have slapped you.
I mean, let's start with the Metro. So the Capitals are in first. It's pretty predictable.
Yeah, I mean,
They're a great team.
they're looking dangerous, man.
No, 100%. I think they can win the cup this year again.
It's so as long as Ovechkin's on that roster, buddy.
As long as they got that, John Carlson is having an absolutely unreal season.
Possible Norris Trophy winner this year.
Hart if he wins it up, if he keeps it up.
Seriously.
So the Carolina Hurricanes, probably one of my fun teams that I like to
Yeah.
watch. I mean, I don't necessarily cheer for them all the time, but if I see Carolina's on the schedule, I will be tuning in.
I gotta be honest with you. I really, really love them. Like seriously.
Their team is so fun to watch. I mean, Sebastian Aho is not having the greatest start to the season, but he's probably my favorite player in the league.
You know what? With Carolina, it was like last year. There was points where they were out of the playoffs, into the playoffs, out of the playoffs, and then they made it, and they had a really good run. Like the fact that they are doing really well, like just makes me happy. They seem like a threat.
I mean, their entire roster is something. Besides, ignore their goalies, but I
Yeah.
could go on about all their players. Jacob Slavin, I think he's one of the most underrated.
Awesome.
I think he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. Like I'd have him up there in the top 10. Pesci, he's good, underrated. Dougie Hamilton is having an unreal start. He has
Yeah.
7 goals. Then
great.
you got Gardner on your third pairing. I think that shows how deep of a decor you have.
Their defense is what you want as your.
And then even their offense, they got Aho. Svechnikov has really stepped up his game.
I love
which
Svechnikov.
they needed.
I love him.
I said before the season, if Svechnikov can step up their game, they'll be contenders. And I think they are contenders.
Oh, easily. I think I would not be surprised if we got a nice Carolina and Islanders series this year.
Rematch. Okay, so let's move on to the Islanders. So I'll admit when I'm wrong. I thought the Islanders were going to be absolutely terrible.
I thought they're gonna be seriously where Ottawa is right now.
Yeah.
Which is 10th, or even I thought they were gonna be right there with Detroit and New Jersey and stuff like that.
We did a preseason prediction on the Sports Board Instagram page.
Yep.
I think all of us had the Islanders missing the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And right now they are 8-3. They've won their last 7. I mean, got to give it to them. I still don't think their team's good.
I don't understand. Where are they winning these games?
Barry Trotz is a wizard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we're nailing.
if I actually had to pick best coach,
it's 100% Barry Trotz.
It's Barry Trotz.
I mean, we'll just run through the rest of the division real quick because I want to move on to questions. But Pittsburgh, Blue Jackets, Flyers, Rangers, Devils. Is there one of those teams you want to focus on?
Well, okay, we all kind of know Pittsburgh's story. They usually end up in that second or third spot in the Metro, if not wild card. But I quickly about the Metro, I would like to see Philadelphia make the playoffs. I think they can kind of have a year like Carolina, where they were not a contender at the start, but by the end of the season they slide in. And I would like to see a renewed Pittsburgh and Philly series. Not gonna lie.
I mean, after that last game last week, 7-1. I don't know.
Nah.
I'll quickly say the Rangers, I expected more of them. The Devils, I did not expect more of them.
I have Devils in my top 3.
I knew they weren't going to do that good.
Yeah.
I called it. When Corey Schneider's your goal, you aren't going anywhere. Then Atlantic, Bruins. I don't even want to talk about the Bruins. They're amazing. They're insane.
We know. Look at them, man.
Best team in the league. Fight me on that. I don't care.
Seriously.
Come at me, Leaf fans. I'm a Leaf fan. I don't know why I said that. Sabres.
Surprise.
Jack Eichel is very good at hockey.
Yeah, I think when you look at Jack Eichel, everyone knows he's good, but he hasn't had the year he has supposed to have yet. Everyone knows how good Jack Eichel is, but this year he looks so confident. He looks like he's ready to just burst onto the ice. I think he's phenomenal.
Okay, and then we got Montreal. They're doing fine. I expect them to probably make a wild card. Florida, Toronto, Tampa.
Kucherov.
Oh, I know. I picked him in fantasy, 3rd overall. I mean, I thought that was a steal at the time. He's under a point per game, which for him is a disaster.
Yeah.
I think they turn it around, though. Now, West, we got in the Central, Colorado, Nashville, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Dallas, Chicago, Wild. One team, go.
All right, well, here's one team. Okay, first of all, I'd like to point out Colorado looks so dangerous this year.
Let's see now. They've lost 2 straight since Rantanen and Landeskog went down. We got to see if their depth can step up.
and I think that's the thing. Are they a one-line team?
I think they're a one-line team plus Nazem Kadri.
Yeah.
They're
okay.
a 4-player team.
And I guess if I had to go from one team, I'm just gonna go out and say the Blues are gonna end up having a great second half and taking the top spot.
Blues are missing the playoffs. Tarasenko's out 5 months.
I still disagree. I don't think Tarasenko's the difference there.
I'll agree with you on the Avalanche aren't winning that division. The Predators are.
Okay.
If you look at their team, they finally have that first line center, Matt Duchene. That first line, Forsberg, Duchene, Granlund has been unreal.
Yeah.
You got Arvidsson and Johansson on the second line. Bonino's having a really good bounce back year.
What is going on with Bonino, man?
You gotta love his hair.
I love him.
His hair is so good, and by hair I mean not hair. Then Pacific, Oilers, Canucks second, Golden Knights third, Ducks fourth, Flames fifth, Yotes sixth, Sharks seventh, Kings eighth. One team.
Arizona Coyotes.
We'll talk about them later, but I love me some Arizona Coyotes.
I will literally pay to have those guys in the playoffs.
Oh, trust me, I will fly to Arizona and watch a playoff game if they make it.
They are such a good team that just never gets the opportunity to get into the playoffs.
So unlucky with injuries.
So very.
And
unlucky.
they also won the Strome trade. Schmaltz is better.
I agree.
I said it. My one team is gonna be two teams. Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
I think they will fall out, but they will still make a wild card. I like their team. I like Pedersen. I like Besser.
Beast.
Their defense is okay, but I really like Edler. Even though he's old, he's still good. I don't think they're gonna keep this up. I don't think JT Miller is gonna get 95 points. I don't know if that's a hot take.
I think JT Miller is a great player, but I think he's got a lot of inconsistency to him.
That trade's looking really good right now.
Yeah.
And then my second team, I'm gonna go with the Calgary Flames because
really,
I just want to talk about them.
Okay.
We got a friend in this program, Adam Spitzeri. He is on the other Sport Board podcast, just the Sport Board podcast.
Yeah.
It's a great podcast. Listen to this. They have episode 1 out. They might have episode 2 out by the time you're listening to this. So he took a shot at the Leafs in his last podcast. And I just want to make a wager with him right now, live on the air. $20 says the Leafs finish with more points than the Flames. Right now, you can't even accept the bet because you're not here, but I'm accepting the bet for you. If the Leafs finish higher than the Flames, you're giving me $20. If the Flames finish higher than the Leafs, I'll give you $20.
I you know what? I'll even go on record saying that the Leafs will finish higher than the Flames.
Sean Monahan is overrated.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think everything that the Flames had last year is not the same. I think they're gonna miss the playoffs.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. Look, Adam, don't get upset with me, but
yeah, Adam's gonna hate us.
I just don't think they're the same team.
Since we're trashing on the Flames here, I'm not really trashing on them. I love Gaudreau. Matthew Tkachuk is their best player.
Look, they've got a lot.
Matthew Tkachuk is the best player on that team.
Yeah.
I don't care. He brings so much more to the table than Johnny Gaudreau. I think two-way game, physical game. He's a pest. He's one of the most underrated players in the league. Love me some Matthew Tkachuk.
Do you think that goaltending's a problem for them?
100%. I don't hate Riddick. I think he's like an average goalie, but it's definitely not their strength.
No, I even look right now. Riddick's numbers show that he's doing pretty well, but at the same time, is he a goalie that can keep up the consistency of a full 82 game season?
I don't think he is, and I don't trust I don't trust Cam Talbot as their Oilers and things. You need to stop switching.
Yeah.
Also, Milan Lucic is terrible. James Neal is good.
What is going on with James Neal?
We'll talk about that later. So we want to get into some questions because we got about 20 minutes left here. We're going to quick fire some questions here. First question. This is going to be the most detailed question. We'll spend 5 minutes on this. These are questions we got from the listeners. So in the future, if you want to answer questions, we'll put up a poll on our Instagram story.
Please send your questions in.
Send in your good questions. Don't send in questions like, is David D'Amico cute? We don't want to talk about that. We all know David D'Amico's cute. We don't want to talk about it. First question. Austin Matthews or Leon Dreissitel?
Okay. I've been actually thinking about this question all day. And I'm sorry for the Leafs fan base, but right now it's Dreissitel. I'm sorry. Like I love. Trust me.
Take in. It's the first episode, and we've already lost all our viewers.
I know. But listen, just hear me out. Look, Austin Matthews is a fantastic player, but
Hot take.
Dreissitel right now is the most dangerous player in the NHL aside from David Pastrnak. He is so good.
Connor McDavid.
Right now?
You think Dreisaitl's more dangerous than McDavid?
Right now.
In the first 12 games, maybe. I still think McDavid's a better player.
Oh, okay. Yeah, McDavid's a better player. But Dreissitel is already had a career year last year. He's on pace to double, like not double that, but like he's on pace to go over that.
Doubling that would be pretty hard.
Yeah, no, sorry.
210 points?
yeah.
I don't know what that.
No, but he's on pace to go above
Yeah.
what he had. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I was coming into this thinking I was going to say Dreisaitl. But after I heard you say Dreisaitl, I'm going to gain back our viewers.
Okay.
Austin Matthews is better than Leon Dreisaitl because he is just better. And the reason he is better is because, think about it, McDavid and Dreisaitl, they play together every game. They're great. But imagine if you put Austin Matthews with Connor McDavid, that the carnage that would do to the league.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews with Connor McDavid would be unstoppable, and it would be better than Leon Dreisaitl and Connor McDavid.
See, I do agree with that. I actually agree
And
with
my
you there.
second point is if you swap Dreisaitl and Matthews right now, and you put Dreisaitl on the Leafs, are we a better team? I don't think so. I don't think we're a better team with
No.
Dreisaitl.
No, I think that's a very valid point right there. I can't even argue with that. I think that's a really good point.
We're gonna make a post on this later, so if you want to talk about who you think's better between Dreisaitl and Matthews, comment on that post.
Yeah, we might even put a poll up on our story.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that
and,
after we make the post. Second question: besides the Leafs, what are your guys' second favorite team?
Okay.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you know what? You start with that one.
It's two-way tie between the Arizona Coyotes and the Vegas Golden Knights.
Really?
I love me some desert. So the reason for Vegas is I've been going to Vegas since I was 5 years old every year. My family loves Vegas. I love Vegas. I love the desert heat. So much better than the Miami style heat, the humidity.
Yeah.
The desert is just great. So when I saw Vegas got a hockey team, I said, wow, that's so cool. I'm going to watch these guys. And then that first season was magic.
Oh my god.
Some of the most exciting hockey I've ever
Seriously.
seen. As soon as call me a bandwagoner or whatever. Mitch, I know you love to call people a bandwagoner. Call me a bandwagoner, but I love that story and I love Vegas. And the second team, Arizona. 2 years ago, I went to Arizona on vacation. We go on a lot of vacations to that area. So I went to Arizona, and while I was there, NHL, you know how NHL in the summer did that thing, the Instagram page where they post a different team every day?
Yeah.
So it was Arizona's day. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm in Arizona. And what a coincidence. I look at the comments. All people trashing Arizona. Move back to Quebec. Move the team. Screw Arizona. And I'm like, that's not fair. I didn't like that. So I'm like, you know what? I like this team now.
I really like Arizona, man. I think they've proven that they can stay in the league. I know their attendance numbers aren't the greatest, but
Yeah, and then when that season started, I watched their first game. Clayton Keller scored on his debut. He played great. And from
Yeah.
that moment on, I said, Keller's going to be one of my favorite players. Arizona's going to be one of my favorite teams. Let's go. What's yours?
all right. I also have two. Number one, the St. Louis Blues. I know people are going to be like, oh, Julian, like, you just saying that because they won the cup. Listen, hear me out. What is the number of Canadian players they got on their team? Like 16?
It was a lot.
Okay, first of all, I love the way they play. But ever since I was a kid, I've been following not only the Leafs, but the St. Louis Blues. They're a great team. Just like you, Arizona Coyotes are also up there.
Let's go.
And I just want to point this out. Not that they're my favorite team, but I actually do like the Ottawa Senators a little bit. I root for them.
We're moving on. The next question is, do you guys follow any other sports? Julian.
Yeah, not only am I a big NHL fan, but I do follow UFC quite heavily and also the MLB. How about you?
So if you follow the sport board, this podcast is just going to be us talking about the Leafs and us plugging the sport board every 10 minutes. So
Seriously.
if you follow the sport board, you see we cover almost everything. I love every sport. if I got to pick one, I got to give a shout out to Toronto FC. They just advanced to the final, the MLS Cup final. They were playing Seattle. I love TFC. I've watched them for like 10 years when they were bad. And now I saw them win MLS Cup in 2017. Hopefully they'll win again this year. Love me some TFC. Let's move on. What team do you think is rebuilding right now that you think will have the best future? And we have a lot of questions here, so I'm going to give us a 1-minute cap on every question.
All right.
Then I'll say move on. So what rebuilding team do you think will be good in about 3 years?
All right, I'm going to stick to what this might not be a popular opinion, but I'm going to go the LA Kings. They've got a really good prospect board, but they also I know you got Kopitar and all these guys, and I know Doughty's not as good as he used to
What
be.
do you do about that Doughty contract?
Not good, man. I don't think it's really not good. But I do think that they've got room to improve. Maybe somewhere down the line trade Drew Doughty, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going with the Leafs. Just kidding. My real answer is whichever team drafts Alexis Lafreniere.
Seriously, though.
But, like, literally whatever team drafts him will automatically be good. He will be a point-per-game player in his first year. But going off that, I'm going to say the Detroit Red Wings.
Wow.
Because I love Larkin. I love Mantha. I love me some Stevie I. I think he's a great GM, and people clowned on the Sider pick last year, but he looked really good in development camp.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously would have went with like Caulfield or someone more obvious like that, but Joe Veleno, amazing prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Zadina, I mean, he's kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, but I still think he's really good. They got a lot of good prospects. I trust Detroit. They have a culture of winning. That's important.
They do. 22 years straight, boys.
Next, build your ultimate line with no obvious superstars. So no McKinnon, no Crosby, no McDavid. Ultimate line. Want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go with center, Nicholas Backstrom.
Ooh.
Right wing, Mark Stone.
Okay.
Left wing, Alex DeBrincat.
That's pretty strong.
I picked that line because we got a sniper in DeBrincat who can get you 50 goals. We got a insane playmaker and defensive player, Nicholas Backstrom, that can just feed DeBrincat the puck.
Yeah.
And we got Mark Stone, which can do everything. Mark Stone is probably one of the best players in the league, and he doesn't get appreciated for it.
Oh, seriously, though.
He can do anything, and I think no matter what line he's on, it will be a great line.
Be fantastic. All right. Center, Dylan Larkin.
Ooh, okay.
On the right, regardless if people think he's a centerman, Claude Giroux. And on the left, I'm going to go Timo Meier.
That'd be a sick line.
I think Larkin is super underrated.
Larkin. That's why I think Detroit will be so good, because I think Larkin is a franchise center.
Right? And here's the thing. If you give Larkin a team to play around,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
It'll be amazing. So
If we're looking for the real answer for my ultimate line, it would be Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron,
the
and
first line
David
of Boston
Pastrnak,
Bruins.
because that is the ultimate line, and that segues perfect into our next question. Who do you think is the main driver of that line?
It can't. Look, if there's one guy I respect on that line, it's Patrice Bergeron.
Oh, everyone loves Bergeron, no matter who you are.
But it's not Brad Marchand right now. Okay, it's Pastrnak, but
That's tough.
that is a tough one because Bergeron is just as important. But I'm gonna go David Pastrnak. How about you?
Was gonna think the obvious answer is Bergeron, but he went down for 20 games last year.
Yeah.
Krejci stepped right in. I mean, I like Krejci too. Krejci stepped right in, and the line did just as good. I'm gonna say the driver of that line is Brad Marchand. I think he is one of the most underrated players in the league. 100 points last year, 100-point pace the year before. Great defensively, plays PK and power play, can get under your skin. He is the example of you love him if you're on your team, you hate him if he's on your opposing team. Brad Marchand, he is the most influential player on that line.
Everything you said was right, but I just hate him.
Oh, we all do. Next question. Who individually on the Leafs needs to step up their game the most?
Okay, I think the quick answer that everyone's going to look to is Tyson Barrie. But to me, it's not a fair test. It's been a month. He's been playing with Colorado forever. So, if I got to be honest with you, Morgan Riley.
Ooh.
Look, I love Morgan Riley. I think he's a great player, and what was he? Almost a nominee for the Norris Trophy.
Yep.
I expected him to kind of come out with that same fire this year, and I just don't think I see it happen so far. What do you think?
Mitchell Marner. Don't hit me with this. He leads the team in points. If you look at his 5-on-5 points, he has like 4 of them. He has 0 5-on-5 goals. He has a lot of secondary assists, a lot of power play points, and anyone can say this. He has not been the same Mitch Marner this year as he was last year. I mean, Tavares went down, okay, but Marner, he fought for his contract. He got his contract. I don't care. Players get what you want, but you got to prove it. The same way people bashed on Nylander last year, we need that same energy from Marner because he has not lived up to his contract. And, yeah.
It's $11 million right there. Look at Matthews right now. I mean, I regardless of what people say about Austin Matthews, I think he's playing great.
Marner is making over $4 million more than David Pastrnak.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's absolutely insane. Let's move on before I get depressed. Who is the most underrated player in the NHL right now?
All right. I had to think about this for a long, long time because, seriously, there's a lot of them. But I've made a decision. It's William Carlson.
That's a great answer.
I think he's a phenomenal player. A lot of people hate on him because they never think he's going to... Everyone doesn't think he's going to have that 40-goal year that he
won't.
But he won't, but I still think he has the potential to be a number one center.
I think he is. I mean, he's the number one center right now on a great team.
Yeah, and I really want to see him do well. I really do.
That's a great answer. I got a couple answers here.
Okay.
Number 1, Matthew Tkachuk. I already talked about it. Number 2, I'm going to go with... There's a lot of options here. Jacob Slavin is obvious.
Yeah.
He's amazing. But most underrated player, maybe it's Kevin Labanc.
That's a really good answer.
I mean...
You know what? He's been lighting it up, actually.
You know who really underrates him? His agent.
Yeah.
Because he only got $1 million.
That's crazy.
Which is less than, like, Matt Martin makes. And less than, like... Think of any terrible player. They probably make more than Kevin Labanc.
Yeah.
And Kevin Labanc is out here getting 60 points a season. I think he's my most underrated player. Now, the opposite. Who's your most overrated player in the league?
I think this is also... There's a lot of guys, I think, out there right now who could hold that title as most overrated player. But if I actually had to go with one, regardless of what I think people are going to think, I'm just going to say it.
Oh, no.
Patrick Laine.
Okay. No one's going to get mad at that. I thought you were going to say Crosby, and I was going to have to walk out of this.
Yeah, no, I love... Look, regardless of...
Because the way you were leading that up, it sounded like you were going to say Crosby.
I just... Look, I know... I think as Leaf fans, we're all big Matthews fans, but after that year that Laine had last year, I just don't believe that he's as good as people make him out to be. I really don't. I think if it wasn't for Winnipeg, he would not be where he is.
That's tough.
I don't know. What do you think?
Do you have another answer? Because I'm still thinking of mine. Do you have like a second option?
I guess as like a second option.
Oh, never mind. I know my option. Do you want to talk about a second option though?
Yeah. I want to say maybe. Maybe, and this is not like a full, like again, I don't want to like, this is not really my answer, but maybe Ryan O'Reilly. That's debatable though.
Okay, you said you were a Blues fan, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We're almost done here, so we gotta hurry up. But mine is Jamie Benn. He is
good answer.
He is not good anymore.
No,
he had like 40 points last year. He was demoted to the third line this year. Stars fans literally want him sent to the AHL. He is not good anymore. He's like players like that fall off quickly. Simmons, Lucic, Benn, they fall off a cliff. Now we got a couple questions here. I'm gonna pick one to be our last one. Anything specifically you want to talk about, or?
I think I just want to touch on this quickly. One of the questions here is: do you think you need grit and toughness to win a cup? And
we can spend 10 minutes on this, but we have to hurry.
Yeah.
So, in one sentence, explain: do we need it?
Are we talking about the Maple Leafs?
Do the Maple Leafs need grit and toughness to win a cup?
1,000%.
Why?
Right now, look at the last few series against Boston. I don't know if anybody else was watching the series. I believe it was last year or the year before that, when Mike Babcock took Matt Martin out of the lineup. And I was really mad about that because I think he would have made a difference. But I just, to me, I do not see how the Leafs win a playoff series against the Boston Bruins with a little bit of grit.
See, this is great because I disagree.
Really?
I mean, you obviously, grit is amazing if you have it, but I don't think you need it, and I don't think you should give up skill. You should definitely not sacrifice skill for grit, because last year we actually out-hit Boston in the playoffs, and I think we didn't lose that series because we weren't tough enough. We lost that series because our penalty kill was horrible.
Yeah.
If we have a good penalty kill or a decent penalty kill, we win that series, and nobody is talking about grit. Everyone is talking about how the slow Boston Bruins were not able to keep up with the fast Maple Leafs. But because of that one penalty kill, the narrative is the weak Leafs, the soft Leafs, couldn't contain the tough Bruins.
You know, I actually, that's a really good point. I think you make a very strong point. It's just, in my opinion, I think maybe if you can get a guy who not only has grit and toughness, but is a good penalty killer, I think that'd be a perfect scenario.
I mean, I definitely think you can look for it at the deadline. Look for a cheap guy.
Yeah.
But you definitely shouldn't, trade Nylander for a gritty defenseman. That's a terrible idea.
Exactly. I see what you're saying there.
Okay, so we
got about 5 minutes.
We're about an hour in, so we're going to cut it off here. We're just going to talk about we're going to go over some quick housekeeping. So this is technically episode 1.
Yeah.
If you listen to the episode with just David last week, that was episode 0.5. Next week, we will have you episode 2 on Thursday. It will be me, Julian, and David. It will be shorter than this. It will be about 45 minutes. This one is about an hour. But it'll be all three of us here. We'll do a more introduction, like a more formal introduction, because we'll all be here. But yeah.
Yeah, guys, just remember to follow the Sport Board. Go check out our Instagram feed. We post everything about the NHL.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a giveaway as well. So if you haven't entered the giveaway, you are literally missing up on a chance to win free tickets.
Seriously, go comment, go like,
and the instructions are on the post.
Yeah, go do all that stuff. It's a lot of good fun, and who doesn't want free tickets, right?
So Julian, I'm so happy to do this, and I can't wait to keep this going.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.